Oh, there's a red light.
Okay, so it wouldn't be how I see it.
True.
If we didn't screw up a little bit with new technology. Am I right?
A learning curve. It's a learning curve. We didn't screw up. We just are experiencing a learning curve.
And why don't they make these things
With
beep
alarms.
in your ear? Yeah, tell you. I don't know. So,
But
now we know.
moving right along.
Look at this counting thing, and if it says 0, it's not recording.
Yeah, just we have to watch our own lights, I guess is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Take responsibility for the red lights.
Was the red lights not on?
Yeah, that red light right there.
It wasn't.
It wasn't on once the card got full. When you looked over
That
and
is
I looked
helpful.
over. Yeah.
Why I noticed is because it said 000. All right, so what happened is
Our new technology.
we had an SD card,
Yes.
but it was not big enough
Yes.
because this thing makes big files.
Real fast.
Good sounding big files.
Yeah.
They sound nice. We
Yeah.
did hear it, and it sounded good. But yeah, it ate up that card.
Real fast.
So we recorded probably 12 minutes
Sure.
of nothing. Did not record.
Welcome to How I See It with me, Mark Pratt, and
Justin Sternberg. This is a podcast that works to counter cultural polarization through thoughtful conversations.
good morning.
And we're back.
Yes, back.
And we got a topic.
We do.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, Mr.
I am well, and you?
I'm very well. We already covered that we have new equipment.
We did.
So,
And happy birthday still.
thank you.
Yes,
Still,
a day early.
And again. So yeah,
Yeah.
what we would like to talk about is directly tied into what we do here every Wednesday morning.
Most every Wednesday morning.
morning.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that's a good clarification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why you say that?
Because I think there's something to be said for morning disciplines.
Yes. Yes. Right. So my question to you
Yeah.
is, what makes you...
Ooh.
Okay, so there's a few questions here.
Yeah.
And what we would like to talk about is kind of this idea of discipline, but generally speaking, more specific to the morning, right? So,
Sure.
what makes...
Win the morning.
Yes, win the morning.
Sure.
Two things. What do you do to win the morning? But before you get to that question, what makes you want to win the morning? Like, what drives you to have
creates
that
that
morning
desire?
discipline? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question.
Because we could talk about how to do it a lot, but if you don't have the desire and you're a late sleeper or whatever, then it's...
And I think there is definitely something to be said for personality.
Yeah, that's true.
I have my entire life, like you say, my family would attest to it. My entire life, I've been a morning person. I've never been a night owl person. I mean, granted, even in college, yeah, there'd be nights you'd have to do a all-nighter, but I just wasn't, that wasn't my thing.
Did you do any all-nighters?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. But it wasn't ever my thing. It was just something I had to do to get the work done because I can tend to procrastinate, or back then I did more so. Mm-hmm. But, so yeah, for me, it is far easier to get up and get my day started And I recognize that I enjoy that time in the morning when the house is really quiet. There really isn't any other distractions other than the ones that I create for myself. So, as long as I, leave my phone in the other room, or, I can really just kind of say, all right, this is what I want to do for the morning. And I think there's something to be said for that. That the win the morning stuff is kind of about, people. And I don't always like to use the word successful, because I think that has a variety of things, but, I'll say successful people, when we study their habits, they all have this, the dynamic where they have their morning rituals or disciplines where they're either, I think it's exercising and reading and, and meditating, there's a
routine.
Yes.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. And I think, for me, that's easier because I like the morning. And and for me, I feel more rested by getting up at the same time every day.
Yeah.
And I don't even really care how early that is. I just soon get up early, same time every day versus, 5 days a week and then sleep in on another day. I get up at the same time every day, 7 days a week, pretty much.
Yeah, that's it. So you mentioned personality. I think personality and, obviously our physical bodies and kind of mentally how we tick, all those things play a factor into our desire for... Thank you.
No problem.
You told me to get closer to the mic. Is this better?
It is better.
Good.
Yes.
Good. I'm learning.
I hear you.
All of that plays a factor into kind of that morning wake up routine and whether you do it or don't. And I also think, habit is a big part of that. So
sure,
you've been doing it since forever and it's just ingrained in you. And that part is not hard. In fact, it's a desire. You have this craving to get up early, right?
Yeah.
If I understand correctly.
No, I just feel better when I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there have been times of my life where I could agree with everything you just said, where it was like I had the habit in place, I had that craving, and it worked for the career I was in. When I painted houses, we had to get up earlier than I do now.
Sure.
And school, different things like that, and kind of like what you're saying, I really love that. The same things you described, I love those same things. The problem is if I don't have to get up early, I could set the alarm and my body, whatever it is, just says, yeah, you don't have to get up.
Sure.
And you just hit the snooze until it's your normal get up time. And it's like, well, I tried. So that's why I like things like this where I'll schedule things pretty early in the morning, meetings with certain guys that I meet with or doing this podcast, because I know it will reinforce a habit that I want to have anyway.
Sure.
And so I have I certainly don't do what you said, which is get up at the same time every morning. I kind of have a more varied schedule.
Exactly. Get your schedule in line.
All right. So we were talking about schedules. I guess I was talking about how I'm not quite like you, but
you have your guys in the morning because you have a desire to grow in that area.
Yep. And it's nice to have things that kind of force me into that. And I don't really have a problem getting up for something if I have to, but I don't remember if I already said this in the previous recording, but if I just set an alarm to get up because I want to get up early, I can't do it. When the alarm goes off, I just go, yeah, I know I don't have to get up, so I'll hit snooze. I'll be like, I'll get up in 10 minutes.
Sure.
I say that 52 times, and then, it's the normal wake-up time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I need something externally to kind of drive me, and I think that's what I said earlier. Is this podcast, this episode, might be enough to kick me over into trying a little more or figuring out a way to do that. Better.
Yeah. No, I was thinking about it in the context of force me, kick me over.
Right. Kick me over.
Yeah.
Someone's got to kick me into it.
And I think there is something to be said for the ability to choose.
Yes.
When it's something that I desire to do, I think anything I desire to do is far more fun and even energizing than anything I have to do.
Yeah.
So when I see something as something I have to do, I'm going to have a completely different attitude about it.
And that's what we were talking about. And
That-
it was good. So
that's-
we're gonna talk about that again. I mentioned that's one. I realized there's another Markism,
Oh yeah.
and it's thankful for the opportunity. Like, hey, Mark, I'm glad you're here. Thanks for being here. You're thankful for the opportunity. And so we were kind of talking about how that mindset, right?
Sure.
Like,
Yeah. And I think our words do tend to convey what our thoughts are.
mm-hmm.
So when I have to do something, when I have to pick my kids up from school, when I have to go to a soccer game, or, now ours is have to pay, help pay tuition, it's like, yeah, I think when we can reflect on the opportunities that those things provide, or, when we can actually be in a moment because we choose to, and we can see that as a gift, to us or to other people, and hopefully reciprocal.
And be thankful for the opportunity.
And be thankful for the opportunity. Yeah, I think,
And also the other thing I was thinking about or mentioning is that maybe there is something to saying it even if you don't quite feel it, to maybe have your words precede your thoughts, because basically what you were saying is that your words kind of reflect your thoughts, but it might not be the case. You might feel kind of begrudging about getting up early, for instance, or having to leave work early to pick up your kids from school or something like that. But if you maybe I'm saying it would be a good practice to say, no, this is an opportunity. I'm going to say I get to, have this opportunity to go get my kids from school.
Yeah.
And say it even though and maybe the tail end, right, you start to embrace that thought of opportunity.
You kind of reframe your thinking in such a way that says, okay, I'm going to hear about my kid's day in a way that no one else could in that moment, and no one else is going to be inside that car. No one else is going to have those moments. And I am.
And if I don't, I won't, right? I won't
have that
opportunity will never exist if I, it is.
When you think about that opportunity will never exist again, it's kind of,
I mean, it's true though. This day will never be again. So and that's true of getting up early, right? Like, if I don't get up early tomorrow morning, Thursday morning, I will never have January 19th of 2023 to have that time in the morning again. Like, it's gone. It's in the past. That opportunity is missed. And so I do think that's an interesting and unique and hopefully maybe transformative way to think about opportunities.
Sure. And I think my as we talk about the continuums, I think there is that other side of that discipline, if you will, that can tend to lead more towards pride and arrogance. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and it leads towards that pride that says, look at me, what I'm doing. Something just beeped, but sorry.
Carry on.
I spoke that out loud. But and I think we can take some of the disciplines and make it about success or what we're doing or what we want to do. And I think it's an important part to be able to recognize, okay, what I did or what the disciplines I have don't necessarily change the world. I'm not that big, but there is a part of me that is able to recognize if I'm able to kind of have that time, to check in with God in such a way that He is big enough, then that's when I'm able to recognize how small I am, and I get to be a part of the design. Because I think, there is that part of us, and I see I guess in some ways I see it a lot recently, with some of the stuff that's been going around, as far as, I guess just recently with like Facebook and stuff like that, as far as, and yes, I do get on there occasionally, but just the part of that animosity between people and the polarization, and there's a lot of judgment. And I think, well, for me, that even comes back to an attitude of the heart. Just like the words reflect our thoughts, I think our words reflect our heart. And, and when I'm looking at other people saying, Justin, you need to get up in the morning, for crying out loud. You're just loafing around. What kind of, that's a bad attitude. That's a bad, that's a heart problem for me. When I take that and I tend to be judgmental about, what a person did or who a person is, and I don't necessarily extend to them the same grace that I would desire if I was in their shoes. So I think,
and that's true of whatever the thing is, right? Whether it's getting up earlier.
Yeah, and I think that's the part that I want to recognize is it's not about, some ability that I have that's any greater than anyone else's.
It's an opportunity.
Yes.
I do think that's a good way to frame it. Because we've talked about even dietary styles, right? On this podcast, we talked with Mary Ellen about vegan lifestyle. And I think I think it's a common trope that people who kind of live that way are arrogant about it, or like,
yes, it can come off that way.
Yeah, it can come off that way. But I think even presenting it as an opportunity, right?
Sure.
Is a, I don't know, I guess a healthy way to present it to others when you're looking to, talk about it.
Sure. And I think there's something to be said for the fact that, yes, this works for me.
Yes. Yeah.
This has been beneficial in my life, and, it can continue to, I hope this is something that benefits you as well.
Yes.
Because when we have that, and granted, I suppose there is a certain arrogance that can go along with us saying, well, you get up at a certain time of the day and, and it's quieter and that kind of thing. But that's where I'm coming from. It's just that aspect that makes it's beneficial to me.
And there are a lot of things like, a vegan or vegetarian lifestyle and getting up early that has a lot of proof like out there of people doing it successfully. So
sure,
it's not nonsense, but like you said, there can be some arrogance to say, well, it works for me, so I know it'll work for you. It's people are different. People are different. Not everyone's made cut the same, right?
Exactly.
But yeah. So back to the concept, excuse me, of winning the morning. If at this point we've kind of gotten the disclaimers out of the way in terms of maybe your win the morning is at night. That's fine.
Sure.
Whatever. But also don't.
It's counter to win the morning though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, win the night. Yes. There you go. I guess what I would say is don't cut yourself short either to say, I'm a night owl, so I do that at night. Because there are some concepts too, and this is what I want to talk about. There's some things you can do in the morning that if you could do at night or you could do anytime. But if you're not doing them, you can't say, I'm just like them, but just like Mark, but I'm doing it at night. I think there are some key things that are important to winning the morning, and that's what. So those are some things I'd like to talk to you about.
Sure.
And you already kind of touched on it in terms of, connecting with God and getting your marching orders, right? So I'd like you to kind of expound on some of those things in terms of what are some non-negotiables for you for winning the morning.
For me personally,
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're willing to get personal.
No, it's for me personally. I definitely get up in the morning and I just kind of, as quietly as I can, I just go into my office. And, and I shut the door because, I shut the door because the light going out the back of the house will wake the chickens up, and then they start, wake the roosters up, and they start crowing in the backyard. So I'm mindful of how much light I turn on.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
I don't have that problem here.
Well, I'm mindful of my neighbors having that problem.
Yeah.
I should be my family as well, but so I'll just close that door and, and I'll grab I actually you grab your coffee. I grab a glass of kombucha and,
That you make yourself.
Yeah, that we make.
Now, is this a key component to winning the morning, making your own kombucha?
It's not, but I do believe I do believe that's healthy for me, dietarily speaking. It's,
it helps keep things moving properly.
Gets my microbes up on count. Anything, that fell away over the night, but still, yeah. So I'll just sip that along, and I kind of typically like to start that day just committing it to God in such a way, and I recognize, and we haven't necessarily talked about it much, but Chris and I have the vision for what will be Sparrow's Rest, in time, and we have the property, and it's one of those things that I just have it's actually a plot map that shows the the property, and I'll just kind of start my day recognizing that that's all bigger than me, and that doesn't scare God in the least. Things that are bigger than me make him happy, because at that point, I'm turning to him and saying, okay, this is bigger than me. I need your help, and you already got it. So I just want to recognize if there's anything you need me to do specifically today, I want to be about that, because it's not going to be what's done in a day. It's going to be what's done, through a lifetime.
Yep.
And so, I'll take that time just to basically say, okay, yep. And, talk about the family and, what's going on there. And then I just typically read through the Bible. Now, I don't ever read through the Bible in the process of a year. It may be a year, it may be a year, 6 months, but I just have Old Testament and New Testament stuff that I read, along with a proverb for the day. There's 31 proverbs, so I get a proverb every day. That's part of that. And then I'll have my journaling that I do, where I really kind of nail down some of the prayer concerns that I'm talking about, with people, facing cancer or health issues, or just those things that are on my mind. And for me, that's an aspect of committing them to God as well. And it's just, that helps me lighten my day, because I can commit all that stuff. So from my perspective, I'm just ready to go ahead and face the day.
You can kind of hand all that off.
Yep. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm handing all that off. And, and then most mornings, I typically will do some kind of exercise, whether it's a group with F3 or, stretching on my own on Wednesdays, that kind of thing. Saturdays, not so much, but those Saturday and Sunday, I kind of take a little break, give my body a rest.
Because rest is important too.
Yeah, rest is very important. So that's what I'll do. I'll still get up, still have the quiet time, but I'm not into the exercise 7 days a week. I don't think it's beneficial for me. And so, that will start my day. And by the time, I'm kind of wrapping up with that, and I'm with the exercise and so forth, I'm done by 6:30. Yeah. So I'll have all that done by 6:30, and then I'm ready to start my day.
Yeah.
And for me,
that's funny. Yep.
Yeah. But like I said, I don't know whether it was in the first part. For me, that getting up in the morning is part of the way I grew up. I've always appreciated the mornings. I've always enjoyed the mornings. And that's just how I see it now that I'm 53, and I'm recognizing that I just need God more, because I'm also recognizing that I'm not gaining physical strength, So, and I think that's been beneficial for me to recognize, because I'm realizing this isn't going to be me that gets it done. Probably in my early 40s, or, it's like there would have been a greater part of I'm doing it, and maybe even more of an arrogance, if you will. But I'm definitely, not that I don't have my pride issues, but I'm definitely recognizing how small I am in comparison to some of the things that I believe God wants me to do.
Well, I didn't know you when you were 40-something, but you're one of the most capable guys I know.
Wow.
So, at 53, in your old decrepit age of 53.
I'm far from old and decrepit, like you say, but yeah.
You get some stuff done, Mark. It's impressive. And that's my problem. I'm not 40 till tomorrow. So tomorrow,
Well, there you go.
Tomorrow I'll be 40, and then I'll be like Mark.
Yeah. You have all the opportunity.
That's right. No, so going back to the you said this is something you kind of learned as you were young to embrace that and appreciate that morning time.
Yeah.
And I would agree. Again, there have certainly been pockets and times of my life where I have been forced
Sure.
to be up that early, and there also have been times I have taken the opportunity to do what you said, like, well, if I have to be up this early, then I'm going to make sure I'm up at this time. And there have been times where I was able to embrace that opportunity and loved it. I loved that early morning time. So I'm 100% with you in terms of that appreciation. But, my appreciation of the amount of sleep I can get at this point is greater than my appreciation of that time in the morning.
Completely understand.
But yeah, so for me, winning the morning definitely looks different, but there's still a big, a large part of the components that we share, right?
Sure.
So, for me, it does look like.
Well, I was thinking as you were saying there though too. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think different people have different sleep requirements as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Which makes a tremendous difference.
Yep. Yeah, and there's also the aspect of kind of syncing, like with my wife's sleep schedule and stuff like that. In terms of going to bed together, we prefer to go to bed together. That just makes us feel like we're on the same page with things. And so that obviously can impact it too. She's not going to bed at 9 p.m. She goes to bed a little bit later, although she's not a late person either.
Yeah.
There's plenty of room for me to get up earlier. That's for sure. I know that's to be true. But yeah, as far as like I share a lot of those things in terms of getting up and committing my day to God. And one thing that's generally been important to me is doing that before work starts, before kind of the influx of inputs happen, right? So
yeah.
And that can be tough depending on so I bring the girls to school I think 4 days a week most weeks.
Okay.
And so if I don't get up before that, it can become problematic to be able to get done what I need to get done, because by the time I'm back, things start coming in from work, and it becomes much more difficult to shut out the inputs and make that time.
Yeah.
And I'll just say this year, since the kids have gone back to school, I've kind of struggled with it. I've kind of struggled to have a proper routine, and I've been hit or miss, and there's been good times, good periods where I've gotten into the habit, and then, something will happen, or vacation will happen, whatever, something that'll mix up the routine, and it becomes difficult again, and I'm kind of hit or miss throughout the week, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all, because like you said, I mean, using that term, winning the morning, I don't feel like I won the morning. I feel like the morning won me. You know what I mean?
I do. I hear where you're coming from.
There's a different outlook in my days when I do it and when I don't do it. And when I'm consistent with it, there's a level of peace there too. In some cases, mandatory amount of peace. It's like, I need this in order to be doing life the way it is right now. You know what I mean?
I do. And I would dare say others, our family members typically notice when we don't do it.
Yeah.
Just because of who we can become,
Absolutely.
without that peace that's in our lives and the ability to say, really, I got to do that, can't you figure that out? But no, if I'm actually having that peace, I'm able to say, okay, yeah, I get an opportunity to be able to help someone or to, talk them through the day. And I think it's helpful in the process of I'm not so consumed with the next thing, when I'm able to prioritize to a certain degree, I think it helps me prioritize the rest of my day. Mm-hmm. So, I'm not, that saying, the tyranny of the urgent.
Yes.
We're not caught up in that in such a way that says, okay, I'm just juggling plates, and I have to be, the next plate, the next plate, the next plate. And I'm able to kind of prioritize what my day is going to look like. And I think that's part of that thing that provides success for people, in that win the morning, is I'm just really able to better prioritize what needs to be done with the finite time that I have today.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. And, you mentioned some other things. I think reading or spending time in God's Word is a
Sure.
key component that we both would agree to. I think, you mentioned coffee for me, kombucha for you. I think there's also something about kind of a comforting routine
Oh, sure.
that can become part. Sorry, I was getting a little far from my mic. Could you hear me?
I hear you now.
Good. There's something about that can draw us back to it on a daily basis.
Sure.
And I think that is where it can switch from that, curmudgeonly have to do it thing to more of the opportunity. Like, I'm looking forward to get back in my cozy spot, or
Sure.
my closed office door away from the chickens or whatever it is. Getting my kombucha on. There's something about that routine that can become comforting and natural, right?
Sure.
Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be so natural for you, because so automatic for you that
Yeah.
it's not. You don't see it as uniquely comforting. It's just life to you.
Yeah, and I can admit,
because you kind of had like this look on your face, like, oh, I guess so.
and I think, whether you have something or something has you, like with the coffee or it depends on. I think in some ways it's defined when I'm not able to do that, and can I still have a positive attitude? Or, it's like, am I okay to go on vacation and step out of that routine? Because if I'm not able to go on vacation, then I know that routine has me.
Yeah.
Versus me having a routine.
So how's that work for you?
I'll be honest, my family would probably give you a different answer.
Yeah.
Than I would.
All right, give me your answer and then give me their answer.
I enjoy the opportunity to go on vacation. And I'll be honest, a lot of my routines I'll still take with me. Because even when I'm on vacation, I'm still going to get up at that time of day. Unless, something is really, it's been we've stayed up as a family, later on into the evening, and I know everybody's going to kind of recover. But, even in that, I'll probably still get up and get some exercise in. And when we go away as a family, Lizzie is very much like I am, to where we'll talk about it even before we go to bed and say, okay, are we going to run? Or are we going to do some exercise in the morning? And it's like, yeah. And, and then we'll decide what time. And so then I adjust, from there as far as, okay, well, am I going to do something else between that time, getting up and the time with Lizzie and I agreed. So I think I can adjust well. But I just take my routines with me.
Yeah.
And that always works. That routinely works for me. My family, I know on vacation or so, they would probably say, that I have a hard time just kind of sitting still, and that's probably true because I, do tend to like to be doing something. And so, that makes it not difficult, but I'm probably not easy to travel with. In the context of, just being able to, sit
in the moment.
Yeah. And I'm able to reflect on that, like vacation time, that this is what this is about. This is a form of rest.
Yeah.
And, and I can typically, I'm not saying I do it well, but I can typically wrestle with that in such a way that says, yeah, okay. Yeah, this is what we're doing today. And I do honestly enjoy the moments when, we're able to shift away from that and have time apart doing something different or new as a family. So it's not that I'm, what's your word? Curmudgeonly, begrudging that opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because for you, that because those moments of reflection, as you say, those times of doing nothing on vacation, essentially, those become the opportunities. So
yes.
For most of us, the opportunity is that morning routine. And for you, that morning routine is just life. And the opportunity is to chillax.
To do it someplace else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, even what you were saying about being able to relax and
Sure.
be present and doing nothing along with others,
Yeah.
whether it's sit at a beach or whatever that looks like. I don't know. But
Yeah. And I thinking back, yeah, I'll typically find myself something to do.
yeah.
Like I might go for a kayak ride, or early morning to catch a sunrise or something.
Yeah.
That's cool on vacation. Just thinking back on different images that come through my mind, of what we've done on vacation. And yeah, quite often, those runs or activity, is a part of my morning routine. Because here's a question for you. What goes through your mind in that time when you're in bed?
Which time in the morning?
In that time between that thought of wanting to get up and actually setting an alarm. And I think you said something to, 52 seconds later or 52 times later.
Yeah.
It's
There's
actually,
nothing going through my mind. It's sleep. It's just like, that's the thing. I think that might be the difference between you and most people or certainly me. I know me. So I don't have any cognitive thoughts when I'm trying to wake up. It's not until I'm awake. The problem is it doesn't wake me up. The alarm doesn't. The things that will wake me up is the alarm and then going, why is my alarm going off? Oh, because I have to meet Mark. Yeah, I got to get up. And then my brain starts waking up. And then I think maybe that's the answer, right?
Oh.
So on the days where I'm not embracing the opportunity.
Were you going to say obligation?
I was going to say I don't have to get up. I mean, the days I'm not embracing that opportunity, even if I set that alarm, the first thought is, oh, it's my alarm. The second thought is, what is it set for? And, again, maybe if my brain at that point can go, oh, yeah, I set it so that I can embrace this opportunity.
Yes.
Maybe I would get up. Yeah.
So do you routinely get up to an alarm?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if I'm getting up for anything, pretty much, I have to set an alarm.
Okay.
Yeah. I could sleep till noon pretty easy. Well, I don't know about noon.
Really?
I don't know about noon, but I can definitely sleep till 10, no problem.
Wow. Yeah. See, I just, not saying that I can't do that or couldn't do that, but
you probably couldn't.
I'm not sure I could.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never tried it. But I was thinking about it.
Let's trade challenges, okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to get up at 4:30.
Oh, wow.
You're going to sleep till 10.
Yeah, but see, for me, if my alarm's going off at 4:30, I'm going to wake up before that.
Yeah.
See, I'll
never been that person.
Yeah. And that's to where the alarm is just there as a reminder, but and quite often I just as soon be up before that, because then I don't risk the chance of waking Chris up with my alarm. But that's not to say that it doesn't go off some mornings.
You'd be surprised. Wives are pretty resilient to husbands' alarms when you hit the snooze 52 times. No, I'm just kidding. Megan's going to kick me about that.
Well, if you're providing a certain heat level and the bed stays more comfortable, there's something to be said for that.
No, there's definitely been some mornings I've gotten kicked. Like, that's your alarm. Are you not going to get up? I'm like, what? What alarm?
So, that's just a difference.
Yeah.
As far as...
And I think that's a blessing for people who have... Because you're not the only one I've heard that's like that. They don't set an alarm. They're 6:30 a.m. sharp, or whatever that time is for you. It's 4:30, which is what? But I think that is a physical difference that can be seen in people or experienced.
When that was just coming to mind. It's like, that's an aha moment for me, and to just an insight. You know?
And there's probably I'm guessing as many people like me as there are like you.
Sure.
Probably. I don't know, maybe
hopefully
more like me.
like you.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yes.
You
yeah.
think so?
Oh yeah.
I mean, specifically, Mark, in terms of getting up before the alarm.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I gotcha. Yeah.
But
there is that part of me that's like, once I'm awake, there's no use me laying there.
Yeah, I agree. I just
because
don't
of my
have
thoughts,
that problem, right?
Yeah, That's another part
Yeah.
of that difference.
Yeah. But the thing, what's interesting is I am definitely a morning person. So
Gotcha.
as soon as the brain does trickle over into, oh, I'm awake mode, it's
Gotcha.
like all the lights come on in my brain and I'm going. And my morning is my most creative time. My most,
Oh, neat.
yeah, I value the morning the most because of that. It's kind of like all systems go. But it does take that,
Sure.
getting awake.
How helpful is coffee in that process of getting your
I
brain?
don't need coffee even.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, who knows? I mean, I'm turning 40 soon. I might need it more than I realize. But no, actually, coffee. I just really enjoy coffee. I drink half calf because I don't need the caffeine. It doesn't.
Okay.
But I also realized when I was drinking regular coffee every day, I would get withdrawals and I'd get headaches from it. So that's why I switched. But I've never experienced a boost from drinking coffee.
Sure.
So I can go without it, and I'll have the same energy in the morning. In fact, if I drink too much coffee, and I'm not the only one like this. Coffee works differently for some people, but for some people, if you drink too much, it'll make you sleepy, and that's definitely true for me. Like if I drink too much coffee too quickly, I'll start getting drowsy.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very odd. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know that it's necessary for that. I'm certainly already in that all lights on mode before I drink my first cup of coffee.
Gotcha.
But yeah, there's just something comforting about drinking a warm cup of coffee to start the day. But I've done it with tea before, and it kind of has a similar thing. But I also just really like coffee. So.
You like that warmth?
Yeah,
kind of coursing through.
So.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Nice. So what about you? Anything that you would recommend as a daily, not necessarily having to win the morning, but the daily things that you see as important for you winning the day, if I may?
As far as disciplines go.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I do think these things we talked about is kind of the key components as far as that time with God. And for me, journaling is a big part of that. I do that pretty regularly. But again, it's kind of hit or miss when everything else is hit or miss, right?
Sure.
But for me, there's something about that ability to reflect on. And for me, it ends up being mostly a conversation with God. It's kind of like a prayer journal, or is a prayer journal, but it's an opportunity to reflect on some of the things that I'm learning in real time in my life. So it may be about the reading that I'm doing in the Bible, but it might not be. It might be about circumstantial things I'm learning. And but there's just something about, and actually I just had a conversation with my dad about this the other day, but about the idea of taking all these thoughts that are kind of rumbling around in my head and having to force it through a single dot through your pen onto a piece of paper.
Sure.
There's a quote by Dawson Trotman that we've, I think, probably said here before, but thoughts disentangle themselves when they pass through the fingertips and lips. So the opportunity, that's an opportunity, right?
There you go.
To be able to focus all of that thought and kind of the things that I'm learning through the day into a single point of, through the pen onto a piece of paper is a really good exercise for me to kind of force me to realize what I'm learning,
Yeah.
So I would say something along those lines I would encourage people to do as well. I think journaling is just the easy way to say that, but I mean any kind of method of marking down, kind of what you're learning, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of, getting your thoughts out of your head in paper or in Word to be able to say, oh, that's what I'm thinking. Makes it, it can make a tremendous difference, offer a lot of insight. I was thinking about even from that win the day part, and that's something that can be looked up because that's not a phrase that win the morning. That's not a phrase that we originated
that we
with.
Coined.
Yeah, but there is a definite dynamic of a certain level of productivity that is available to people when they focus on the ability to prioritize and that kind of thing, and that's information we can link or put people to. I don't have all that information ahead of me, but
But it is, I mean, you mentioned priority, and I do think that's a big part of winning the day, right? Is being able to have a point in time where you set the priorities for the day ahead, whether you do it at night for the next day or you do it in the morning. But winning the day, I do think a big part of winning is defining what a win looks like.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I hear you.
Defining
Beginning
the
with
parameters
the goal
for
in mind.
success. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the way you do that is you have to determine what's the biggest priority. What's the thing that I need to get done the most?
Yeah.
And if I don't do it, it's not a win, you know?
Sure.
And, you know, it might be something as simple as, you know, take my daughters to school. Like that's a non-negotiable priority that will shift all other priorities, you know, and it does, you know, because it's, being
about the things that only I can do, only you can do in that day, because those
or only you should do. Because I think I could hire someone to take my daughters to school.
I hear you. Yeah.
Right. We could, and some people do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I do believe I should bring my daughters to school, partly, you know, to help my wife out so she doesn't have to. She could make it work in her schedule, but it would be very difficult for her for other reasons. Of course, I could, you know, whatever, or we could, you know, shove them on the bus or whatever, and that's fine too. Like that's not people. That's fine too. But for me, I feel like that is something I should do. That's a time I'm able to spend with them. That's a priority I'm able to show to Megan and my kids that this is something that I want to do on a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That opportunity.
Yeah. You can. So therefore you want to.
Yeah. And I don't do it every day. I mean, there's some days that our friend picks them up and brings them. We kind of do a carpool thing where some days we'll bring their kids to school and some days they'll bring. So it's not like a recording, kicking my microphone.
Stretching my legs. Sorry.
Got a problem with what I'm saying?
Not at all.
No, but yeah, so I think not necessarily doing, because I do think that can be a dangerous thing to say. Only do the things that you can do. Could potentially put you in, I don't know, maybe like an arrogant place of, that's too menial for me. Anyone can do that. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be doing it, right?
Yeah.
Anything?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I still wrestle with that should, but if I can, I can. Yeah. But I'm hearing what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. But you still make things a priority.
Sure.
Yeah. You're right in the sun.
I am.
Yeah. You can move if you want.
I'm good.
All right.
But I think we're
we're about there. Did we win the day yet?
We are in the process of winning the day.
If this recorded, then
it's a win.
We'll have won.
It's a win.
Yeah. Cool.
So I hope you have a great birthday, Justin.
Thank you.
Yeah. And hopefully this podcast sounds even better.
Oh, man.
For our listening.
Oh, man.
Our listeners. Yeah.
Yeah.
We hope this is a better sound. So know that we appreciate all you folks as you listen.
That's right.
And know that I appreciate you, Justin. And this is how we see it.
Hey, thank you for listening to our podcast. If you like How I See It, please do all the things that podcasts tell you to do. Subscribe, rate, review, follow us, and or talk nicely about us on social media. If you want to reach out, the email is us@howiseeit.click. Yep, I said .click, as in .click. Please tell your friends about this show, and we'll see you on the next one.